What's up, everyone, and welcome to the LCS Lock-In Tournament. It's our second day of semi-final play. I'm joined by Jat, Raz, and Emily to kick things off. A little bummed that we didn't have the turnaround there on the intro there for the Raz version.
Oh yeah, the chicken one.
Into the day. You know, I'm always looking forward to a choir of chickens welcoming me into the LCS. Either way, we dive into another best of 5 today in terms of semifinal play, looking to figure out who will move on to challenge Team Liquid in the finals tomorrow. It's EG, it's Cloud9. We'll dive plenty into that series, but I wanted to kick things off here in the waiting room today by re-hitting a topic that I know Mark Z was really excited to get to talk about. So I was like, it feels right to do it when he's not here, which is re-hitting the patch. No, it's just hey, we've got some sample games in front of us. We began this discussion yesterday. There were so many things done in this patch. Champions that had their, the needle moved in one way, shape, or form. Of course, Chemtech Drake we talked about. And so with yesterday's games and what we've seen regionally around the world with LCK, last night, LPL, and of course, LEC as well. Where's everyone at? Jat, you were not a part of this conversation yesterday. I guess I'll start with you.
Senna TK seems like it's going to be making a big comeback. I know we were talking off camera about the fact that Danny got a Pentakill with it last week.
Yup.
It's now a lot better, so maybe he can get better than... No.
Okay, with an Ox shot in the game, it is possible.
Yeah, but the Tahm Kench is the really interesting one to me because that's a big directional shift to what had been happening to the champion for a really long time. Like, the whole idea is when you're a Devour an ally, that you're immobile, and now he actually gains move speed. So I saw some fights yesterday that were just really weird to my eye because of how quickly he was moving allies around fights. That was when Ayla was playing it, and I think there was a fight where he moved Bjergsen really far. So I'm looking to see more Senna TK because I think it's actually pretty strong.
Yeah, and it changes how you view team fights, as you kind of mentioned, which is just like a lot of the times, especially in the past few patches, it's just been consistently hard engage, trying to find angles to like start a fight. Whereas, Whippo talked about it in the interview. It was like, needing to be more patient in those moments. Because in one of the lost fights, Tahm Kench literally ulted Bjergsen and saved him when he was getting engaged.
Yeah.
They still ended up losing the fight because of how they were visualizing it and how they were playing it out. But in the end, I think it is a top-tier support pick. It has good lanes.
Yeah, and I mean, so I know you and I disagree a little bit on good lanes. I do want to point out how TL used, vision that they already had here to really take advantage of the fact that they had that Tahm Kench early in this lane to shut down Caitlyn Lux. I thought that was really clever. I think that, and again, I know you and I disagree a little bit on this.
Well, I would say that we don't, because we agree to the fact that Caitlyn and Lux has push in the lane.
Yeah.
Where it's like, my major thing was that people are going to be surprised at the kill pressure that Tahm Kench lanes have, right? Senna Tahm Kench and Varus Tahm Kench, a lot of the times Tahm Kench, if he ever gets a Q on you through the wave, like, he could just straight chase you down. And so, like, especially if you're in a longer lane like Caitlyn Lux, you got this guy looming behind you.
He's just, like, ready to take you out.
So, like, I think it does create more exciting lanes in a way if there are mistakes being made.
Well, and I think we touched upon this yesterday, but the interesting thing to me is how people are going to play the 2v2, because already we were looking at different mismatching 2v2s depending on whether you have an engaged support or insane push in lane like the Caitlyn Lux. And now with the return of Senna Tahm Kench, which still I would say is not like, it's not going to have that automatic push unless your jungler is coming down to constantly reset the wave, in my opinion, again, depending on matchup. I want to see how people do use that kill pressure and setup that Tahm Kench does provide and how it counters or like goes up against a lot of other moving parts that we can see from bot lane 2v2s.
Yeah, and hey, the biggest strength of those Tahm Kench lanes is that's just really hard to dive, especially post 6. The shield that he's able to give the AD carry, and also just, of course, his own Grey help in those dives, just make it, like, if you're going to make the dive happen, you have to play it pretty damn well. And you just see it as a safe lane. And just start playing through your side lanes. And, of course, you have Senna, ulti, like, just kind of, it just casts your mind back a few years where this was just the constant in North America. And the way people ended up being, okay, we need to counteract this by Sona and Tarek or
Yeah.
something
I
that
mean,
scales equally.
Last year, Senna Tom was actually everywhere.
Yes.
It's just any team that could play Senna Tom would immediately draw a Senna or a Tom ban, like every stage game.
Yes.
Right.
So it's prolific, and I know Vulcan is really good at Tom, right? Because him and Sven were a Senna Tom team. So like even I know it's like 23 minutes until the lineup goes up, but both these teams are going to be Senna or Tom players pretty strongly.
Yeah, and I also think another thing that we have to include is one of the reasons why we've been talking about bot lane 2v2 so much is the removal of the ability to teleport, right? And so a lot of, I know watching it in the LPL, for example, the way you counter a Sona Tom or a Senna Tom lane or like a Sona Tarek lane is to just dive the, F out of it. And so I couldn't think of another word. And you can't do that in the same way, right? As you could, because you can't pull your top laner down to set up that imbalance.
I'm kind of expected in at least at the beginning of lock-in for more mage supports or enchanter supports to be picked out. Now I feel like that's just going to be a constant. That's usually the best way of dealing with Tom Kench lanes. And also, with Janna being changed / buff, like a stronger champion, I'm expecting to see, like we already did see a little bit of actually in the previous series, G2 versus Fnatic in the LEC, like that was a support 5 pick. That was just a straight up, they tried to look for bot lane picks, and so I'm expecting to see that more.
So there's one other champion-related thing that I want to get to, but I apologize, I have to tangent because I've just realized or just witnessed, Jat, what's going on with this cup?
I heard that this was what was done up here.
This is what was.
Did Mark not do that?
He did kind of do this.
Yeah.
That's the meta now.
But also, Jad, come on now. I mean, I fancy you to be quite an intelligent man.
Yeah.
Just because Mark did something.
Okay.
Right. It doesn't feel like it's the greatest.
There's a reason.
Of reasons to maybe follow suit. You know.
There is a reason.
It's the whole bridge, jumping off a bridge, kind of.
We had like 2 minutes until the start of the show.
Yeah.
There's like some dust in the bottom of this coffee cup.
Okay.
I didn't want to get rid of the nice LCS coffee cup.
Right. So, well, I
but I
appreciate
did
the
want
commitment
my
to the
water.
branding. Yeah, I appreciate the commitment to the branding.
It makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah.
You could just separate the two.
But then
Yeah.
there's not as much table space.
Now- you need that table space?
I can put this
Just
down.
The stress
I can
minion.
put my phone down.
Right, yeah. Love
Yeah.
it. Okay, sorry. One final quick hit on champion stuff I just want to get to because we heard this champion pop up today, at least in the LEC, and some discussions began behind the scenes. Volibear. Should it be
back.
played? Will it get played? He's back. Who
I'm
should
interested
play
in
it?
it. I think like there'll be certain matchups that you'll see it in. It was played into Xin, and so like that one, that makes sense to me. But we're just seeing a lot more front lines, and so like just because of that, when we've only really seen Jarvan as a frontline jungler so far. Volibear makes sense that Resurgence is coming back to provide space for Jinx and Victor, these kind of comps. So it makes sense to me.
Gotcha. Nice, big, beefy Volibear. We'll see if he comes through. All right, diving into some topics as brought to us by the community. First up, Summit, Berserker, Winsome. Does anyone know if they will be here before the regular season? Are there any rumors on a date or anything like that? That is topic number one. Topic number two, and I think an important addendum to this, is a hypothetical of if C9's full roster doesn't show up for a while, let's say week 6, do they keep the current team in place until summer? Like, where is that break point, that you say, actually, it would behoove us to stick with the roster that's now been together for however long as a full unit?
The way I would see it is, I would imagine that C9 would just focus on the long term, right? Even if it's week 7 or something and they get the team back, they'll probably still run the team. And if it's a low likelihood that they'll win the split because of not having that base synergy, it's like, okay, fine, we're just setting up for next for summer. That being said, just listening to Coach Ellis's stream, like he seems pretty confident that they'll have the team here by week 1.
Right.
So I do think we'll see them instantly at the start of the split, if not just week 2. So I don't think that issue's ever going to arise.
Well, best laid plans, right, as we know, always go awry. So we'll see if that actually is the case. There's also that second conversation, right, around performance, and that this is the team that has again stated before that best player plays, right? And so based on their performance here today, and then if they qualify through to tomorrow, do you start having that conversation around, well, actually, we're looking pretty good as a team, right? We don't want to disrupt, and is that maybe the long-term play?
I know for me, the community people like Sven. People understand Sven is a strong AD carry. And so the question is always going to be when Berserker comes in, how much time are they willing to give him? Let's just say, because there's a hypothetical, you're never guaranteed success. If he doesn't perform in the first 2 weeks, there's pressure right behind you. So, like, there's that one. You could say the same about just the support as well. Winsome, we haven't seen him yet, and they're both green supports. Knowing that Winsome has played in Academy Korea versus here, or it was Amateur Korea, either way, versus here, like, Isles had playing experience. Depending on which one performs in week 1 or week 2, I expect bot lane to be my focus.
Perks himself seems to be lauding Fudge's ability,
yeah?
at least on the team.
There we go.
Fudge and 4 wards these days. I'm glad we're keeping that meme alive.
Yeah, keep that up as long as they can. I would say Fudge has been playing quite well,
Yeah.
right? But he expects to grow more, right? Like, by no means is Fudge running over the league and like, man, that guy's easily the best mid laner that we have. It's
Right.
not expected that he is that at this point. And he's done, I think, pretty well.
Well, so from Fudge in his rookie split as a mid laner, I will call it, right? Sophomore year here in the LCS, to an actual rookie in the LCS, Jojo.
Yeah.
This comment coming from David in our community. What does Jojopyun have to achieve this year to be considered the best LCS rookie of all time? And before we talk about what he has to do, I'm actually curious who each of you might pick as the current best rookie of all time in the LCS.
Yeah,
Who would you
I'm
even
trying to
give
think.
that title to currently?
Oh my
Is it
God.
Blabber?
now?
An all-time hit?
Is Blabber the best rookie
Well,
we've
no,
ever had?
I mean, it depends when you count his rookie
Yeah.
split, because he had that split where he was splitting time.
Right.
Based on results, and this would require like a longer dig, Biofrost had a really good rookie
He
split.
did have a...
Yeah.
They went, it was during best of 3 era, but they went 17-1 and
In
then
best
won
of
the
threes,
split.
and then won the split.
Obviously, they had a lot of other stars on the team already.
Right, because then you have to consider his impact. So his
that was like the-
achievement, quite large.
Yeah.
But was his impact to that achievement relative to Blabber's, impact to...
Yeah, from there it was
even
like
if they didn't
it was like
finish
the
as well,
Yellow
right?
Star TSM to the Biofrost
Yeah.
TSM. It was
Yeah.
a big improvement.
Yeah.
That one's a big one.
Who
Probably
else?
one coming to mind is like Cody Sun. Felt like Cody Sun when he came in had an incredible split. Both. I
Was
think
that their spring...
Well,
it was Immortal
Miami Finals
Yeah,
with the
that
young
one
team
was a
at
good
that
one. That was a good one.
was
So, like,
Shower rookie?
oh,
I don't think...
Right?
No.
yeah.
Right?
Well, I
We
will
don't-
say
we don't
rookie.
count rookies like LPL. Count
I was
like
about to say,
Peanut as a
It's not
rookie.
just
Like the
LCS
rookie of the
No,
year.
Actual
we're
rookie
not
of the year.
doing that.
Yeah, wait, what are your thoughts here?
I don't know. Like, I'd kind of want to give it to, because again, it depends on when you call like Blabber's rookie
Exactly.
season thus far. Because I remember like he had that one game at Worlds actually that I paid, that caught my eye more than anything he'd done in LCS up to that point, where he was just so aggressive and like turret diving on Elise, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But it was incredibly impressive, and then he came in and had his first full split be absolutely phenomenal. And it's pretty difficult because LCS doesn't always give rookies, and we've talked about this before, they don't always give rookies enough time to have an entire split. Like, if they're not performing well, they'll remove them, or they'll do what C9 did and kind of be like, okay, we're gonna have you split time with someone who's incredibly experienced and see what happens and help use that to like help you grow, which I think worked out really well in the case of Blabber, right? So for Jojo, I think, I mean,
Yeah.
This is like a good Twitter
Actually-
question because I want to go back in time more. I'll let you go first, then I got my answer.
So this might be cheating just because the first split Cloud9 went in. They were just
Okay.
straight up number
Yeah.
one. So you could probably literally use
2013
videos.
rookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Right.
know about
I was
that.
gonna say it might be unfair to I don't know, right? 'Cause
No,
it's like
it's
you look
all
at
time.
Right. Well, then you would go. Wouldn't you then just go straight to the original LCS Cloud9 roster and go, it's high.
I'd say,
high.
like,
It's
Meteos.
Meteos, right?
this.
Meteos' first split was some of the most dominant jungling we've ever seen.
Agree, but let's just say since they started giving out rookie awards,
Okay.
they didn't have an
yeah.
MVP award when Meteos should have won MVP.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Sure.
That's a
But
good point.
I think rookie is just a catch-all term for a player that's just started, playing
It's
competitive.
first year
right?
of professional play.
Professional play. And so you can make the case for a lot of the players on the Cloud9 team back then already playing in like the tournaments that would exist,
Yeah,
the third parties.
definitely.
But Meteos wasn't a part of that, I would imagine, right? Like I was pretty sure that was the case. I'm gonna stick that to an answer, and someone's gonna call me and be like, "Hey, he performed at this third party, you idiot."
Okay,
Your answer.
my answer for JoJo. One, I think there's a huge amount of interest behind him because I think it's not super common that we see someone so young with so much hype come up.
Yeah.
And it's also because in North America, there's other games that grab people's attention. This is another discussion that we've had a lot off air, but like a lot of times a young kid who's super talented might play Fortnite or he might play Call of Duty, right? Whereas in Korea or China, it's more likely they're playing League. So Jojo being so talented and so young is exciting that he chose League and that he's excelling so much in it. So I really want to see him succeed, but I'd say like this is arbitrary, like to be the best rookie of all time. I just want to see him be the best mid in North America.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he does that, I'd say that's the best rookie performance, especially with how, long a lot of the mid laners have been. And it's been so hard to supplant the NA mid laner pool specifically. Like, how many years have we had, like, 2 resident mids in the whole league? So if JoJo's able to come in and be the best, I think that would put him as the best rookie ever.
Okay.
Piggybacking off of something you said, one thing I really appreciate about JoJo, and we've seen this from a lot more from rookies because I think Danny has this too, but I actually interviewed him this past week for an article that's going to come out later, but he has so much confidence in his own mechanical ability, and that is something that I feel like sometimes players don't always keep when they're making the transition from like amateur to LCS or academy to LCS in comparison to other like players around the world. So like you have an LPL mid coming up as a rookie and they're like, of course I believe in my hands. Why wouldn't I? And JoJo's like that too. I asked him true or false. You and Chovy are the best laners in the world. And he's like, true.
Yeah, I mean, that confidence is huge for a rookie player. I remember when Fudge came into the league as a rookie himself and got in trouble from the players who were like, wow, that's straight up too much confidence, right? Or like, too cocky.
But see, I would push back and say it's not too much confidence. I would rather you come in like that and get shown, right? Get put in your place a little bit, but you only then overcome that maybe failure if you have the confidence to continue pushing forward towards your goal.
Can I also say Fudge was a fake rookie?
He was also
in essence a fake
rookie, right? Yeah, exactly.
Fair.
Because he had already played
Worlds, they'd be like, rookie.
Right, rookie, exactly. So real quick, we're going to dive into this next comment, but I do want to mention that in the conversation around rookie performances, a name that we notably did not throw out there is Danny, one of JoJo's teammates who did have an incredible year just last year. And so I think as well should be in that conversation for some of the best performing rookies the LCS has ever had. With that said, David had a double whammy here in terms of comments, but Raz, this one directly to you, my friend. When Worlds comes to New York City this year, what does he need to do for you to collaborate on a TikTok?
I'm down for that.
Boom. That's it. Wow, you could have asked for anything.
Easy.
Yeah, you could have asked for anything. You asked for a TikTok.
No, you could have said, he said, what do I need to do for Raz to collaborate on a TikTok? You done. He wrote, this man handed you a blank check, Raz.
Just give me more hot chocolate in the cup. That's all I need right here.
Buy the man a hot chocolate.
There it is.
Okay. Whipped cream on the hot chocolate? Marshmallows?
I like whipped
anything.
Cream.
A little whipped cream?
It has. The problem with whipped cream, though, in my history with whipped cream, if I'm like ordering,
my history with whipped cream. Okay.
Yeah. So if you
hold on.
You order any drink with whipped cream, and it comes like it's from a driver. That whipped cream's dissipating, it's melting into the cup, and you just have like this much.
Right, delivery.
That sounds obvious.
Delivery whipped cream is not the bag.
It's just cream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So like that's it. End of rant.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. The producers are mad at me for talking about whipped cream, so we're going to move on.
That's just a lesson for everybody at home. That's a life lesson.
To EG Cloud9. Let's talk about
whipped, really.
Yeah.
If it sits for too long,
it loses its
air pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes it whipped in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay.
Baking with esports chat. All right. Let's talk EG. Let's talk Cloud9. Ultimately, how these teams match up. But I thought a fun way to get into it is kind of by recognizing that both these teams, definitely some of the more exciting to watch in terms of their creativity, their aggressiveness, and things like that. Also in the individual plays that have come out of those squads so far. We're going to play a little game. It's called Who Wore It Better? Pentakill Edition. We've got Danny with one Pentakill. We've got Sven with another. We're going to take a look, and when we come back, we'll be voting on whose is better.
Oh, let's see. This one was, this one's Danny. So they were so far ahead in this game. It was absurd. So it was just a desperate fight from Golden Guardian side.
And I also think you can see that Danny, because like he was rumored to be practicing a lot of Senna in Europe, and he was the first to bring it out in the LCS here, actually before the recent patch where, she received all those changes. I really like this from Danny because the context is He had the unofficial penta on Tristana that should have been a penta and wasn't.
All right, well,
So
here's
finally got it.
Here's Sven's, and then we'll make a verdict.
Okay, so they get engaged on. I remember this one where he was on Ziggs. The game's actually fairly close. Can't see the gold from here, but just remember the context of
9K
this one.
lead.
Okay.
The gold is right at the. Oh, I meant.
I am
okay,
far
sorry.
away from
Sorry,
the
I was like, Raz, it's the overlay shows it pretty explicitly.
But yes,
Oh,
go
right,
get your penta,
Because
my
this is
man.
also the one where they were calling to end.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Darshan was like, nah, I would have gone for it too, 100%. So we've got a Ziggs pentakill in one corner. We've got a Senna pentakill in the other. We've got heads on sticks here for all three of my analysts. Looks like Jat's already made his vote. Where's everyone throwing their weight? Raz? Wow.
Ooh,
Going for, okay, so
Split death.
you're the odd one out.
Okay.
Explain why it is that you wanted to give it to Danny.
Just in terms of the mechanics on that one, I mean, being able to flash away from the Leona, and Danny, if he's far ahead, he's just pushing forward. So he's going to take that risk and just try and play it out mechanically as best as possible.
Emily, why is it the Ziggs play?
I think I just love I am going to get this pentakill regardless of anything.
Yes.
I also think to add like more narrative context, Sven also got our first pentakill last year. Yep, and he did it in their first game, I believe, of the season. So,
Yeah, it was regular season
that was
last
really
year,
impressive.
but yeah, for him to follow it up this year. Jat?
It was a closer game. I think Ziggs is harder to get a penta on than Senna.
Yeah.
Senna attacks way too fast nowadays.
She does.
She's
Like
pretty
when
nuts.
she released, she had a really low base attack speed. That's been jacked up way too much.
Yeah.
That gun is too big to fire that fast. Doesn't make sense.
Does the size of
Machine gun
Yeah.
have to
cannons.
dictate speed of fire rate?
Well, the size of it.
50 caliber machine gun might disagree. Either way, let's talk about some individuals. We talked about put the heads away. Put them away. Get them out of here.
Keep using
I mean, fine. If you want to find a way to get, to get the heads
Matching
into the segment, feel free. Let's talk about Jojo again. We talked about him in the context of what he needs to do to be considered, the best rookie in LCS history, but we're a long way off from that. So now I'd like to bring it back into the microcosm of what we've already seen from him, but what we'd like to see from him specifically today in his matchup. Emily?
Well, if you're talking about confidence, I think what that brings to him, like on this team, we already know the story of how, people were talking about him in Europe. They had this highlight reel. It was one of the things that helped bring Inspired over to this team. If you have your mid laner just be like, it sounds really dumb, but like, I believe in myself. I can do this. Like, I've got this. This entire team seems to echo that same exact confidence. And so all of them working together is amazing.
And if you look at the forward percentages down there at the bottom of the screen, this is basically the percentage of time they spend beyond the 50% point in lane. Like, they rank first or second across all teams in lock-ins. So Jojo is definitely one of the players who is doing this, but the whole team is embodying just a very aggressive mindset across the whole map, and it helps them just build a large lead and then look so strong in the late game. So for Jojo, I want to see him to continue to play like that. We've already heard other mid laners like Abadage say Fudge is very much going towards scaling picks, where he's taking a lot of greedy or scaling runes. Punish that as much as possible. Take as much advantage early game, and don't even give Cloud9 a chance to breathe today.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's great about him is he walks that tightrope, he takes those risks, he comes out ahead most of the time, and I think the challenge is to be able to reel it in when it matters. So good example is, it was technically a winning play because they ended up winning off the back of it. They had Rift Herald, they went towards bot side during group stage, and they wanted to be able to place it. He was on Trinamere, I'm pretty sure. He ended up killing himself, just going way too far into the enemy jungle solo, right? And it would have doomed the play if, the enemy team just didn't offer another kill to trade, right? So those are the type of things where I'm like, Jojopyun, generally speaking, if you watch him in Academy, definitely plays up, as you can see from the forward percentage and in those games. But you don't want to risk a set play as it's happening.
I think, speaking of set plays, though, I do think EG, one of the things that's impressed me the most, especially around the way they've been setting up for Jojo, especially on the TF, but on other picks as well, is they always seem to have in mind what the next play is, right? So even if teams are able to get, like, counter kills or trade kills in fights, they often can't do a lot with it because of the way that EG has already set the map state.
It's incredibly cool to me to see that 4% graphic, if only because it also then highlights how much freedom Inspired has as a jungler. And we've obviously lauded him for what he's been able to get done for the squad already. His teammates giving him permission to do that. But while all of EG is invested in living evil and keeping their perfect record alive today, Vulcan, he's got some extra motivation for victory in today's series. Check it out.
I am the most excited for playing against Cloud9 whenever that happens. Because they trolled the offseason, and I want to make them regret it.
That's it.
Let's go.
What more do you need?
I was expecting more. I love that. Holy.
They trolled the offseason. They let me go. And hey, I think I asked that question sometime last week. Like this idea of, I mean, to me, it's baffling to have lost Vulcan. He was one of the last pieces of that Cloud9 roster that I would have expected them to let go during the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely reading into it a little bit with whatever type of speculation we say here, but I think it's very important that everyone on the team is on exactly the same page.
Yeah.
Even if both pages can eventually be correct, it's not going to work if you're trying to do it within the same team. So I think that's possibly why they parted ways, and I think it's a steal for EG, all things considered. I think Vulcan has been definitely top 2 support in North America for several years.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily show anything that would make you think he's been declining.
Nope.
And now he's on an even younger roster where it's more likely they can all play on the same page. So I think we're seeing that what is currently a honeymoon phase with EG, and the question will be whether or not it can persist.
Yeah, and so I kind of want to use that to now hop over to the C9 side. Obviously, we've already talked about the fact that this is still not their full intended starting roster. But to me, it also gives us this interesting perspective of getting a sense as, you know, the LCS has developed over the years, what the culture in the organization is going to look like. For example, the fact that so many teams, as you could probably attest to at this point, Jat, use their academy teams as scrim partners or a place to, you know, workshop ideas. So, hey, Darshan, Sven, right, if these players are not actually going to be on the starting roster, we're still getting a look at the practice partners, essentially, for the main roster.
Yeah, I mean, look, they don't have Copy and Malice for their academy team, but for sure, knowing that you have that bot lane and Darshan, and the fact that this team went to semifinals here says a lot. And just being able to watch them showcases that you'll have good scrim partners. I mean, LS, he's been very vocal about that, how it's going to benefit the team in the long run, the LCS team, if you have a consistent scrim partner that you have trust. And also, you can hide strategies if it's internal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the big thing we touched upon yesterday, too, is like how valuable it can be to have that team beside you, especially if they're going to be pulling some of those picks and bringing them over from what they've seen in LCK and what that roster has been seeing in LCK. Because we've already seen a few of the picks creep in that they've already played. Like, the Malzahar, we know LS has been playing, I think, for the team as a substitute. But the Poppy jungle, the fact that they were one of the first teams to pick up the Jhin for his range and what he can do in a team composition, that's all stuff that we did see in Korea first.
Yep.
And so I've liked seeing that trickle into their picks as well. And going into having an academy team or a secondary scrim partner that you can test that out with is actually remarkably valuable.
Specifically that bot lane, right? You got the Varus and the Ziggs coming out as well from Sven. And so, again, not unique picks for him as a player, but in the context of the, you know, these initial weeks here in the LCS, very different to a degree than any of the other teams are bringing to the table. So we'll see how EG interacts with that today. Now, before we load onto the Rift, hit me with your predictions expeditiously. Yesterday, I went to all 3 at the same time. I'm going to do it in a similar way.
Boom.
Boom.
Oh,
It's already been spoiled. I didn't even have to because I think everybody was aware.
Yes.
This does not show score line, though, and that's where I think maybe one of you would be willing to give Cloud9 a game.
Yeah, it's 3-1.
Yeah.
You think
3-1?
I think it's 3-1.
across the board?
Wow. Oh,
Wow.
God.
Damn it.
We're
Crazy.
so boring.
Yeah.
Damn it.
The only edge I would have
I'm
usually...
finding the hell out of predictions.
It's funny because the only edge I would usually give a team like C9 in terms of like, oh, drafting, right? Like they think about drafting a lot smarter. Of course, they had one troll draft in the CLG series, but then you're going up against the team that's probably the best drafting team right now in the LCS lock-in. So you don't really have that edge as well. So.
All right. Well, but at least the prediction has been that EG will drop their very first game of 2022. We'll see, though. We'll see, though. We've been proven wrong many times before. With that, we're throwing it out to Flowers, Azale, and Mark Z to get ourselves into the day.
Thank you so much, Dash, and welcome everybody to some more League of Legends action here in the final weekend of the Lock-In tournament. I'm Captain Flowers. That's Azale.
True.
And over there is my good buddy Mark Z. Mark, you told me
Questionable. I am.
earlier today, you told me this is your second TriCast.
Yeah, you were
Correct.
trying to be like, I get to help as his first TriCast, and I burst your bubble.
I already
unfortunately.
did that.
Yeah, it was you and me.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
All right. So you guys already have the relationship
Yeah.
built up, but it's okay. We're going to have a good one here today. We got Cloud9 and EG going head-to-head, and, man, I think this is going to be a fun one.
I agree, man. It should be really, really exciting. I think EG are coming in as pretty heavy favorites, obviously having the entire starting lineup. They have been really dominant. Jojopyun saying he doesn't think they're going to drop a game throughout the entire tournament. But Cloud9, have been looking pretty strong.
I mean, they've been super dominant. They're the only team not struggling, like you said. But also, their game time is the fastest by a pretty considerable margin, considering that includes only wins. CLG is technically like toe and toe with them, but that includes a lot of losses. So,
But they're still first.
EG's average game time is actually just their average win time. And on that front, EG has been super dominant.
All right, let's go ahead and see how draft is going to look in our first game of this best of 5. Karma and Victor banned away by the side of Evil Geniuses. Cloud9 taking Caitlyn and Senna off the table. Now, Azale, remember, we are on patch 12.2.
Exactly.
Teams voted to play on the new patch, and you were talking earlier about how Senna is so strong now.
Senna is just completely busted, and Danny was already willing to play it pre-buff. He got a pentakill on the pre-buff Senna. Now it is just out of control strong with the slow. It's like you get Glacial Augment for free, and you can even go Fleet or whatever else you want. It's really, really powerful, but a lot of mid lane targeted bans. Hopefully this means we're going to see something a little bit different. The Corki's gone, the Victor is gone, two of the most consistent ones there. It's a bot lane focus as well from C9.
I think what's interesting too is EG has really played the whole spread of comps that we've seen. That TF that they were hovering, they played that, looked incredible on it. They've played the Corki Victor matchups as well. They have shown a lot of diversity so far, and giving the TF over to Fudge is a little surprising. He has not gotten his hands on it so far in this tournament, so they're kind of putting a test on him like, yeah, you play lane okay, but can you play the map okay from mid lane?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he's actually going to go for the TF. LeBlanc is another really high prio pick that is left open. It is going to be the TF, in fact. So now I wonder, is this going to push Darshan to something a little bit more carry-oriented? Because he has been Mr. Tank. And especially if you're going to go Jhin here, you do need kind of that hyper carry somewhere. It could be coming from Blabber if Blabber wants to play an aggressive pick and you're playing more as the TF to roam and actually support the jungler. But it will be interesting because Darshan has been mostly just purely on tank duty, and usually you don't want to play toward that side when you have a TF.
And with the state of drafts these days, often having early drafted bottom lanes and junglers, the early mid pick here makes me wonder, is Evil Geniuses going to immediately answer with their own mid pick, or will Cloud9 have the opportunity to ban out some of those mid laners if they choose not to? Diana
there we
locked
go.
in here. Okay, Diana Yasuo combo for EG.
You get your answer quickly there, Captain Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
They're going aggressive early on. We saw this a little bit yesterday. It has an insane level 6 power spike with the Diana able to vacuum everyone in to a Yasuo ult. The TF early on will be okay, but then at level 6, right when he wants to start moving around the map, is when he's going to be under the most pressure.
And I mean, TF can always push with the early auto attacks. You just rank your E level 1. You have a lot of power there. But the interactions with Winwell and Goldcar, being able to actually eliminate that is really, really powerful. So it's a lot about how you're going to play this mind game. We'll see how experienced Fudge looks on it, because usually you have to use your Everfrost really well, and you kind of try to get them to bait out with your Q, try to get really close. You throw out the Q as though you're faking that animation to bait out the Winwall, and you can Everfrost them, lock them down, then save the Goldcar till after the Winwall. And how you play that minigame is actually really, really important. But Poppy is incredibly strong here. You already have the dashes from Yasuo and from the Diana. Being able to shut that down, Chem Tank, Jungle, Poppy, extremely strong.
Yep, and we still have the mirrored roles picked in the first half of the draft for both sides. It's just not the usual mirrors that we see.
Don't count out Poppy for Darshan yet, all right?
Okay,
that
all
would have
right.
been signature pick for
I
2016,
am
mister.
assuming we have
Yeah.
mirrored picks here. That means
The blind
support
Poppy.
and top laners are getting focused here in the second part of the ban phase. Yuumi and Thresh removed from that support pool. Gragas taken out here by Cloud9. One more to go from the side of Evil Geniuses. Still plenty of power picks left up on the table. Still plenty of good options here for either side. Not quite sure exactly what we're going to see here out of these guys, but it will be Gwen, so taking some of that power away from the top lane again.
Yeah, getting rid of probably the biggest carry threat that we've seen in the meta right now, at least in terms of presence, it's been Gwen, and so getting rid of that makes a lot of sense. We'll see now where Darshan goes, because he has shown a lot of Auction. He's already played 3 games of it. It seems to be his go-to if he's going to be playing off tank. And like you said, with the TF wanting to go up there, that might be an option. But I think there's also a possibility where you still don't put too much priority on it, because you might have a lot of 2v2s going mid lane, and the Poppy might have to spend a little bit more time around there than normal.
Well, we will see the Rakan picked up here for the side of Cloud9. Means they are reserving Darshan counter pick for the very final choice here in this draft. I like that. But now what does EG want to respond with here for their top and support combo? Renekton, of course, is always a staple of top lane. No matter how many times you hit him with the Nerf bat, slap him in the knees, smack him over the head, beat him in the back, it will not matter. He has a point-and-click stun.
Impact's been playing him for 8 years in pro play, so, you know, if anyone's going to know Renekton, how to pilot it against TF pressure, will probably be the old man up there.
It's also a great setup, right? You know, it's someone that has that point-and-click CC. Add that in with the Leona. There's a lot of lockdown here for champions that are pretty slippery. It makes it dangerous for someone like the Rakan. Leona generally considered a pretty strong matchup into the Rakan for that reason. You can stun him up into the Chompers. It makes it really difficult for Rakan to play aggressive. We could get Akshan into the Renekton. I think that's totally a fine matchup if he wants to play aggressive. We could also just see something along the lines of the Scion that he's brought out a couple times here, but it would make them pretty tank heavy.
Ooh.
Malphite. Okay. I actually really like this. There's the only magic damage on the team is Inspired, and it is, you know, a burst champion. It's not consistent damage, so you're just going to stack health and armor. It's going to make it very difficult for the Renekton, for the Yasuo, for the Jinx to really pop through.
All right, so let me ask you this, gentlemen. It looks like EG's got a lot of dive power. Cloud9 has a lot of mobility around the map and ability to contribute to these fights from range with things like the Jhin or Twisted Fate joining up. Who do we feel got the advantage in this draft at the end of the day?
I mean, it's just going to come down to execution, right? Can you actually pressure heavily through mid lane with Inspired and Jojopyun, this Diana Yasuo combo? Anytime you draft that, it's going to be largely about that. And can C9 really neutralize, have Blabber protecting Fudge so he can get out to the side lanes and really pick on people there?
I think this is also just a huge shot at Fudge to be like, can you withstand Diana Yasuo? And that's a Diana.
I thought you were just combining.
I thought you were trying to go for a little bit of a combo here.
There's
Yasuo.
another reason that might have slipped up. Playing a lot of Genshin recently. There's a character in that game. Anyways, the point is, this will be a test for Fudge right out the gate, and arguably the weakest member, if you're trying to say like least experience in their position, that is Fudge. And so this is EG kind of calling their shot right in game 1.
All right, here we go. We're on to Summoner's Rift for the first time in what I'm hoping is going to be a full 5 here in this series. Cloud9 and EG. Winner here will get to go on to play against Team Liquid in the final for lock-in tomorrow. And it looks like we've got all 4 EG players grouped up here. Only Danny is away.
Oh my God, yeah. All the EG players have been out there. Vulcan calling the 3-0, Jojopyun the autofill, calling him the autofill mid laner.
They don't do pick ban meetings, they do meme meetings before the series figure out how they want to flame their opponents.
Well, I mean, the last guy who called Fudge an autofilled mid laner got 2-0'd by Dignitas the next day.
Oh,
so I gotta be a little cautious.
He didn't call Blue an autofill mid laner, to be fair.
Okay, I guess we've got that one. I guess we got that one there. But I'm just excited to see the Diana Yasuo, man. This is one of those really risky type of picks. Like, if they fall behind, they can feel pretty bad. I mean, Yasuo doesn't have any traditional strengths of a mid laner with, like, the big, powerful ability to control the waves from a distance, to be able to apply that ranged burst or whatever. So, down here in bottom, Danny and Vulcan, too. Always exciting to watch here with these two.
Yeah, and I think this will be maybe one of the power points early on, because the thing about Diana, she can gank a little bit earlier, but with the Yasuo combination, you might see a little bit slower pre-6 of a game. Maybe the Leona's where you want to go. You have set up CC in pretty much every single lane. If you see Jojo already testing Fudge in the matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. But I mean, he takes as good as he gets, right? You know, and you are starting Corrupting Potion here on Fudge, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. You just need to trade back with those auto attacks as effectively as he can. And Jojo ending up getting, I think, the much worse end of this, honestly. You know, because he only has the one potion with the Doran Shield, you have to be pretty careful about how you're using this regen. Fudge is just going to want to just try to get pushed up as fast as he can, shove this out and reset, and that's usually the TF go-to. But, I mean, Jojo's trading really, really well.
Very aggressively. This is what I want to see out of a Yasuo player. I don't want to see you just sitting there and trying to last hit with your Qs. Like, he's going in every chance he gets. Bottom side talking about going in. They forced the flash out of Isles immediately.
Really well done there by EG's bot lane, getting their level 2 CC. And this is a bit of a problem for Cloud9. In the series against CLG, it was one of the strong points where CLG was able to find advantages in that map. Isles and Sven were killed a couple times just in the straight 2v2. And already we see EG, Vulcan stepping up in the bot lane, making a flash happen.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's just one of those situations where you have to count minions. You know, how simple is that? You know when they're going to hit level 2. Isles was a little bit too far forward, maybe trying to actually proc his Relic Shield. But instead ends up having to spend that flash, and now EG have the push down here to be able to clear out a ward, get eyes on the fact that Blabber is in this area, and it's going to give them a lot of safety up on the top side, knowing there's nothing weird happening. Not that you're surprised that Poppy's doing a full 6-game clear, because the early ganks are pretty terrible.
Yeah, but at the same time, it lets Jojopyun play the way that we've seen him play the lane so far, that there's not some early cheese gank coming. They had a ward on Raptors as well earlier, and so that just enables him to play this matchup as aggressively as he wants, while the rest of his team does a good job of tracking Blabber's pathing.
Blabber still down here on that bottom side. You can see he is clearing a bit more slowly than Inspired is there on the Diana. Inspired not having any options to move towards right now. Will go ahead, take his first base, buy that Blasting Wand, just making sure that he's getting that AP up and running as quickly as possible. Blabber now coming around maybe for a play here on mid.
I think he wants Raptors, probably,
Just
but
gonna
he could
ward
just
it.
wrap around here. You know, the Raptor spawn is about to happen, but he obviously hasn't been back to base, so it is a little bit dicey and will reveal himself, so.
Well, Jojopyun's still going aggressive here onto Fudge, so if Blabber comes around, there he is. We're ready to go. Blabber looking for Jojo here. Instead, just charges onto the minion to reposition himself. They see that Jojo is not immediately retreating, so they have to figure that Inspired is nearby. Now Jojo's going to taunt them closer yet again, as Fudge tries to throw out the cards, knocked up into the air now. First blood already over to Evil Geniuses. Beautifully done.
Really well played there by Jojo and Inspire, just getting aggressive here. Fudge wanted the reset, but you know, they just played up a little bit too much, and ends up getting taken down.
EG just know the 2v2 better. It wasn't like there was a surprise at all coming. Cloud9 has the ward on the Raptor pits. They saw Inspired run right through there and sit in the fog of war. You knew exactly where he was, and so they just thought that they couldn't get killed from that position.
Honestly, the whole sequence just really speaks to almost like miscommunication or disagreement on how you want to play it out. The fact that you're warding it out, then you're actually hitting the vision plant, giving away that you are there, so you're not going for a gank now. But if you're just going for the push, then you should have just gone immediately mid anyway and helped push that out and reset very quickly. So it felt like there was maybe some disagreement on should this be a gank play, should this be a Raptor steal, should this be a reset on the wave? And they kind of got stuck in the middle of all three, did all of them poorly, and as a result, it is that first blood going over on a Jojo, and that's a big deal. Getting the Yasuo ahead this early is huge for a comp that's built around it.
And now in bottom side, we got ourselves a 2v2 breaking out as Sven flashes away. Still has his cleanse ready to use. Vulcan's going to get locked down there by the Deadly Flourish. Cloud9 can disengage that one, but it will cost a flash on the AD carry. Neither flash up for the Cloud9 bot lane now.
And that's actually huge because Vulcan was holding the wave, so the wave is hard frozen against them bot lane. If we can get a view of this, like look at that. They're going to lose this entire wave here unless Danny decides he wants to push. That will be a full wave denied from C9. So not only do they lose the flash, they're going to fall behind on experience and have this wave frozen against them, have to push up to reset it without that summoner, which is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, and I know this is early in the game. We're still pre-8 minutes, but already an 800 gold lead in their favor against a TF. Usually you see TF teams kind of jump out to an early gold lead, not a huge one, but just off the strength of his passive. But the fact they're already this far down against that is very concerning for Cloud9.
Jojopyun going to back up now. Isles is hanging around the mid lane, but so is Inspired, so Jojo will just walk towards his ally there. Inspired now level 6 on the Diana means a lot more scary ganks will be coming. Diana, after that rework that happened a little while back, doesn't have any CC until level 6, but now that he's got that, it's so scary when combined with the power of the Yasuo.
Absolutely, he has been spotted, so Fudge has got to play it pretty far back, and that's why Blabber is here to hover, but you have level 6 on all three of the topside members for EG, so you can just set up a play here, invade towards the red, and I think this is super smart.
Yeah, I mean, the vision control here is absolutely insane. Pink ward on the red buff. You have the Raptors with 2 wards on top of it. Krug's warded out. There's absolutely nowhere for Blabber to go. In this entire top side, the river is also warded out, so you see him completely sacking this side, trying to get on top of Inspired, and it looks like he was able to get in there a little bit unseen. You know, C9 do have some okay vision down here, but Blabber's in a pretty uncomfortable position.
Yeah, he's trying to go for a wraparound here onto Danny, and We'll see if he's going to be able to pull it off because he doesn't have Blast Plant, so he hasn't been spotted. I don't know if they want to just go for this or if it is just going to be, steal away one camp, try to get a little bit of something back. But EG definitely getting by far the better end of this early game.
Well, Inspired is now down in the same quadrant of the jungle as Blabber. He will work on the red buff. Blabber secures those Krugs. On my way ping's coming out, so they look like they're maybe looking for something here on EG. Blabber will clear out that control ward. Evil Genius is aware of the presence of the enemy jungler, but considering Inspired was still picking up the red buff, they weren't able to immediately go contest that. But now, Blabber uses the steadfast presence. Chompers are going to be dropped down. Zap slows him. Flash forced out here too. Blabber gets away.
Again, it's kind of just weird seeing him waffle between these decisions, right? He's walking back and forth. He reveals that he's actually on the pink to try to clear that, but then you've shown you're on the pink, and then you walk back into their jungle with no vision, and it is going to cost him his flash.
Yeah, so far, he's been totally controlled this game. He was forced out of there right when the wave was pushing away from EG's bot lane. EG have done such a good job of coordinating where their waves are going, where they need Inspired to be at the same time, while Inspired's keeping his farm up and making plays on the map.
It's also worth noting it's not going to be the Chem Tank build that I was actually expecting. That is getting super popular. Instead, it will be Divine Sunderer, so a little bit more damage focused. I think that's obviously fine. You have Rakan, you have the Malphite, you can have a bit of a mixed damage profile here. And he might just be doing Sunderer Sterix, which is pretty popular for the more damage-heavy Poppy builds.
Well, Evil Geniuses will control this first neutral objective in the game in that Rift Herald. They are already up over 1,000 gold, 9 minutes in the game with just the single kill under their belt. And I want to go back to something you guys were talking about a little bit in Champ Select. When we saw the Renekton locked in, we were talking about having to play a champion topside versus Twisted Fate, having to deal with the extra pressure. Fudge has been stuck underneath the turret. Fudge has not been having a great time here in mid. They haven't been able to affect this topside yet at all. And Impact just has a casual, almost 4 waves of CS advantage.
This was a little bit of concern we were talking about the draft stuff is you don't really have a power point anywhere on the map for playmaking. Bot lanes are pretty favored. Jinx has a lot of good matchups. Topside, yeah, you get this nice counter pick for scaling later in the game, but you can't really make anything happen until 6 when you're trying to combo your ult.
So that's compositional. It's not 1v1.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly the same time that the enemy team's power spike turns on at 6 as well. So you're kind of synced up in that way, and you never have a window where Cloud9's comp is better until much later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think their window was supposed to be around TF ults, right? And play odd number fights. But because they actually died early on, now Fudge has been very much on the back foot. He's getting pushed in, so he's not finding those opportunities to actually move from lane. Because, yeah, I think a lot of their picks were less about the matchups and more about how the comp is going to interact, right? You're picking Poppy not because you're going to go in and kill that enemy jungler 1v1. You're picking it because there's Leona, there's Yasuo, there's Renekton, there's Diana, all these champions that you can interrupt with your steadfast presence. That's going to be really strong for 5v5. Malphite, again, is a compositional pick. They're not going to have consistent magic damage, so you stack armor, you're going to be a brick wall in the front line. But in these early stages, it is going to be EG favored. The question is, can what they have built for in the 5v5 make up for it later on?
Okay, Sven ends up using the cleanse there to escape the solar flare from Vulcan. Doesn't look like they were really expecting a whole lot more out of that than just grabbing the cleanse there. You can see that they knew that Blabber was also hanging around this area. Fudge has the ultimate also ready to go. But now Cloud9, what are we gonna do? Inspired is down here, and it looks like Evil Geniuses be going for even more. There comes your lockdown. Isle's going to be the target. He tries to go right back in. Vulcan's going to be taken low, but a massive multi-ulti coming out from Jojo. And Cloud9 is getting mopped up. Danny goes into the stasis to keep himself alive. Darshan's going to be controlled, but not long enough. Vulcan goes back over the wall trying to make it happen. He flashes away and lets them know, you shouldn't have let me go. The Cloud9 BM versus his old team. And EG wipes them.
They aced them 4v5. Renekton's still in the top lane this entire time. He had TP, but EG were just so confident they didn't even ask for him to show up there. They clean it up. He grabs 3 plates in the top lane.
Absolutely destroyed, and he had nowhere to TP to it. This is pre-14. That's not an unleashed TP. Darshan went to the defensive tower, but the fight was already over by the time he arrives. Cloud9 get absolutely blasted. This wraparound here, Inspired, Vulcan, Danny, everyone flying in through. Just focusing down the Rakan was really, really smart. Then the multi-man ult there from Inspired, from Jojo. Flash R there from the Diana, knocks him up, and they knock him down. Jojo picked up so many kills, and so did Inspired, and now the core part of your comp is insanely fed.
And I just love the faith that they have in each other. Like, Danny flashing over the wall to get damage onto Sven, knowing, like, at some point Jojo's going to show up. I'll stop watching out right before I die. And then Jojo does show up, finish that kill off, gets the knock-up while Danny flashed away, and it made Darshan have to commit his ultimate in to actually get that kill, led to his death as well. And so you can just see how they all see the game the same way, I feel like, in these skirmishes.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very much on the same page, and now it's hard to imagine Cloud9, crawling back into this game unless EG really flub, because you're playing with the neutral advantage, 4.5k gold up, and your core items are already done here on your jungle mid combo, right? This is kind of what they need to really start getting aggressive. The stopwatch is there for Inspired, so he can fly in. Shieldbow's already done. They're cracking mid lane potentially here pretty soon. When plates fall, that tower is going to be easy to pick up, and they can just continue to dive. When you're playing comp like this from ahead, you have such obvious go buttons.
Yeah, they're already 5k up. Their average at 15 is 2.5.
Well, we're not done yet. Fudge is coming bottom. They're looking to make the plays here. They've locked down Danny, and he's out of the picture. Vulcan and Jojo trying to get away, but the curtain call has opened. Summoner spell's still down from the previous fight, and that means Fudge can pick up that one. Nice punish there from Cloud9.
Yeah, that was well done. I think it was a little telegraphed, and they didn't account for the fact that Fudge could come in. All the TPs are down. They're thinking, okay, this is a pretty clean dive, but big mistake.
And this is the problem, right? You're seeing this. Okay, they made a counterplay. Well, guess what's happening to Darshan's wave top lane? Impact is at the tier 2. He's now 40 plus CS up. Darshan didn't play the lane bad. His team needed them, so he is trying to play for the team. He TPs towards bot, loses his full first tower to this Renekton. Then he roams down bot again to try to help him on this play. Well, now you're losing a couple of waves to that top lane tower, and you're down a good level and a half at least on this Renekton. Impact is just chilling, completely unbothered in the top lane. He's moisturized. He's staying in his lane.
1v0 sometimes,
Staying in his lane, indeed. This man is so massive at this point that once he does get to join the team fights, you gotta wonder what it'll look like. But now he's getting caught out a little bit. Gotta be careful about that one. Steadfast Presence locks him down. Damn it, I caster cursed the Gator. Talking about once we finally get to see him in a fight and he gets turned into
Should've stayed in his lane. That's what happens.
Yep. You leave your lane, you get the pain. Sorry, Impact.
I think he forgot that there are other players in the game. He's been isolated top lane for so long. He's like, this is just like first bots, right? I'm just farming. And he's like, wait a minute.
Oh no, there's other players here. EG now, with those turret plates now gone, they have the opportunity to just wail on this bottom lane turret. That thing's not long for the world. They're gonna let it eliminate as many creeps as possible on the way out, just making sure that they give their opponents the least amount of resources possible. One more turret shot will finish that one off, and Evil Geniuses gets their second turret of the game.
And you can send bot lane mid now, because mid lane is also really low from the Herald being dropped there earlier, pre-plates going down. I will say EG got a little bit sloppy in these last couple minutes, weren't playing with respect to the TF, then this invade with no vision on the Raptor pit dying. So they have allowed Cloud9 to scrape their way a bit back into the game. With the tower going down though, the gold is right back to where it was. So we'll see where they can go from here. Malphite, gonna be tough to kill, but also really hard to do much in the way of threatening this Yasuo. Once he has shield bow, he's just gonna heal off the minions.
Yeah, I think this is the situation for EG. A little sloppy, but now that they're in their 1-3-1 lane assignments, you put your bot lane mid like you were saying, the actual Malphite can't contest the push, like you said. Yeah, you can't kill him, but he can't actually keep his minions off the wave against the Yasuo. So from here on out, EG has a lot of control. The biggest question is, can Fudge disrupt this lane setup? Because you do have a little bit of extra map mobility with his ultimate.
And I do want to point out, Fudge is full build with Twisted Fate. He has Everfrost, he has Rapid Fire Cannon. These are the tools you need
Stopwatch
to
is your
be
third
that playmaker. Exactly. You can have the stopwatch to hold you over until Zhonya's. So I say the ball is in Fudge's court. For if there is an opening, he will be the one who has to execute. He's the one who has to see it.
He absolutely does, but it gets really, really tough. When Renekton is going to be closing in on a second item, when you're losing vision, like you see the observers are showing us how dark this minimap is actually getting for them. They are being choked out, so it's really tough to know where to go, where your enemy is actually being shadowed. They're trying to get as much deep vision as they can, but it doesn't really give them much in the way of info, and if you go for one of those TF ultimate plays, you don't know that someone's behind him. As soon as that's revealed, you just have to back off, and it's a wasted ult.
Right, and Evil Geniuses is playing around the idea of getting outnumbered. You can't get outnumbered when all 5 of your players are in the same spot, and they are just grouping up and deathballing this tier 2 bottom.
Yeah, I mean, they had no way of knowing exactly how many people were going to show up there. So when it's 4 with a Rift Herald, you just have to sack that turret. And EG continues to get more gold in their back pocket.
Absolutely. Plus, they already have, like, look at all their vision on the bot side. And I always love this forward-thinking play. You know, you look at this quadrant, 4 pinks in this area. That helps you get the tier 2 here. So tier 2's gone. Now where are you going to go next? Well, guess what's spawning in a couple seconds? The dragon. You've already prepared, you know, for that dragon by the same prep with the tier 2. And that's why I think them playing towards this side of the map is really, really smart. It shows that forward thinking. They can defend this area on the map, and it's really going to get them a lot of value.
Yeah, I think also EG's win con wasn't exactly stacking dragon. And so there'll be a little bit of a lull if Cloud9 wants to continue stacking these. Like you said, that vision control's nuts.
Yeah.
This one's gone. Third one you can let go. And so you're not really looking at the actual soul until, you know, about 30-ish minutes into the game, which is relatively slow for a team snowballing this hard. So exactly how EG pressures Baron will be the bigger question mark post 20 minutes.
And if they can just continue controlling both sides of the jungle, because that's enough of an objective. If you control 3 to 4 quadrants of the jungle, the enemy team is just losing. They just haven't realized it yet. And that's kind of what they've been doing, is just farming away enemy camps. You know, yes, there's still some camps available on their side. So guess where Inspired is? Inspired goes back. He's going to cycle his camps on the bottom side. He's just going to move bot, you know, maybe even clear up these camps top side if he wants. But his solo laners and his AD have been picking up camps from the enemy jungle. You know, you see Impact, 195 CS, 18 minutes. A lot of that is farm that should have been Cloud9's.
And just look how fast they are flipping their vision to the top side. Vulcan already got his pink wards in, already deep vision, already grabbing this mid turret, and they're going to make a rotation up to the top lane just after they finish this one probably. Maybe they'll go for resets instead, but they have done such a good job of moving between these objectives, like you said, from bot to dragon to mid to setting up for top.
And that's what I want to see. I don't just want to see a team be able to build this nice early game and then stall out for the next 10 minutes, not knowing where to transition this to. EG does not know how to take their foot off the pedal. They're continuing to find these opportunities. They have a plan that goes from start to finish. And if Cloud9 tries to contest them, it's just like, well, wait, they're already way too far ahead.
And EG has a lot of players with that killer instinct, and I think that's something that makes them so fun to watch, because Danny definitely had that in the team fights last year. He for sure had it this year. You brought in Inspired, Jojo, Vulcan, these guys that are all super aggressive, and Impact is just going to play whatever his role is in a given game. If you need to play towards him and he can carry, great. In this game, his role was just farm the wave, push it out, punish Darshan for roaming, and he succeeded with that. He's going to be really strong come team fights. So he's up a level, he's on his 2 core as Renekton, so he's going to be very difficult for Cloud9 to deal with.
Cloud9, man, stuck in their own territory, continually getting pushed back. You can see them placing down vision on their own half of the map. There is no vision for either team on Evil Genius's half of the map because that half of the map is not having League of Legends played on it right now. EG is never having to defend. Cloud9 never gets the opportunity to go aggressive. It's all about Cloud9 just trying to dig in and have something to stand on as EG keeps pushing.
Yeah, I mean, look at the outer turrets right now. You see these objective bounties up, but they haven't really gotten any chip damage on any of them except top lane. It's about 2/3 HP. The rest are about 95%. So, you know, C9 are trying to make a move up here around the TF to get some of this bounty gold. It's basically the only thing that's offered up to them right now because once EG put all their attention onto another objective, you can't actually contest it. But it's still difficult. The TF still feels scared just to walk up to the Renekton.
Yep. And I even like just that Jinx ult. I think it was just checking if they were doing a Baron on spawn. You know, doing some sort of coin flip play. And say, hey, can't see everyone on the map right now. Blabber, though, gonna get caught out.
Oh, Blabber, he tries to use Steadfast Presence to get himself away, but Danny has blocked off the path and forces the flash. There were the Chompers. So Evil Geniuses get one of those playmaking summoner spells out of one of the Cloud9 frontliners, and it wins them more control over the enemy jungle. They're just gonna start up the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason they have to be scared. Flash off the Poppy. She does have Hex Flash, so there's a possibility they can get into the pit, but they're so far behind.
They want Darshan's TP at the very least.
Absolutely. Here we go. Twisted Fate ulti has already come out. Impact's over the wall, and they're ready to go. Baron Nashor already over to Evil Geniuses. The fight goes nowhere. That was free for EG.
It felt like C9 thought they were bluffing. They're not actually going to finish this, but by the time Darshan TP'd, it's too little too late. They pop the TF ulti. Darshan comes in with the TP. Well, EG just finished that, no problem. Impact flashes over to stop any sort of chance of a steal. just really clean stuff here from EG, and they're just looking like they're on a different level than C9 this game.
That was like the most stress-free Baron I've seen in a 5v5 in a while. Like, no one was dead. It wasn't like they totally sacked the Baron. They were around contesting it, but with the Poppy having no flash, as soon as she got close to the wall and the HP got low, Impact flashed over to zone the Poppy off. It just looks so clean.
And right before the Baron, we talked about the Danny ulti being used to check and see if the enemy team was doing Baron instead. I have seen so many of these scouting ultis from Danny this game. It feels practically like he's using it like Ezreal ults often are, where they're just shot off on cooldown, seeing what you can find with them. The missiles are being used as recon drones, and it's working out for the side of Evil Genius.
I mean, I think it's smart when there's very few places on the map that your enemy can hide. You know, those kind of scouting ults can be pretty effective. You know, in that case, Jojo was in the side brush top lane, so he was maybe trying to check exactly where TF was, if TF was taking some sort of weird recall. If you interrupt a recall like that, that can give you tempo on the map. Potentially Yasuo can go in and get a kill as well. EG now just in a 4-1. Trying to kind of hover in between these two lanes. Looks like Red's about to come up, so they can gift that over to Danny and just keep pushing up here. They want to try to threaten these inhibs because they have just progressed the game so fast that there's not really much else for them to do.
And you can see Jojo here, he's waiting as long as he can. He's trying to get these waves synced up as close as possible. Granted, they cannot be synced up completely here just yet, but that mid wave is going to crash before the top one's fully cleared out, and that's the name of the game. Impact now gets an opportunity to hit that turret a couple of times. He'll stun up Isles, dash away, only takes one turret shot, not really worried about it. The pressure continues, and it's going to stay on for another minute as this Baron buff continues to put the pressure on C9. Vulcan getting caught, slammed into the wall, but that's not the guy you want to catch. Right over the wall they go! Inspired, and Jojo just keep doing it. They will finally lose the Yasuo. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Vulcan trying to get away. He's going to die now too. Double kill back over to Sven. Cloud9 holding on and fighting back.
Yeah, still a bit of a chase down here. Actually, EG, you're turning.
Oh, but a nice kill back onto Fudge, and EG return the favor. They ain't done yet. Danny's getting excited, and Evil Geniuses are ready to keep the fight going. Nice stun coming out from Renekton. Nice rocket follow-up from Danny. A nice base push coming out from EG.
It's at least 2 inhibs. They're just going to go for both of these. They are going to back it up as EG just slamming through Cloud9 here, going super aggressive, diving into the base. Even after that initial trade, they still had so much gold and power in their remaining 3 that you get the first kill, and Danny's just off to the races.
Yeah, I think total overconfidence here by Cloud9 because of how awkward of a position EG took this fight in. The turrets are still up. They haven't finished any. So when they decide to go over the wall here, taking that Diana ultimate, now after that first kill, you have no way out of this situation. So when they don't finish off Darshan here, now you're hitting turrets. Now Vulcan and Inspired have to walk back to the turret. They can't really turn. That gets to the second kill. But you're not actually stronger here. It is a 3v4. But, you know, with all that extra gold in your favor, C9 just end up chasing a little bit too far.
Exactly. There's so much gold, and all those members on EG were still quite healthy. Darshan didn't have an ult. He was really low. So, well played there by EG. They grab another dragon. They're at soul point, 9K ahead.
And Fudge is trying to farm up his own jungle, forced to flash away. The solar flare means flash don't matter. Fudge is out of here, and Evil Geniuses claim his life. Jojo's gonna get caught here in the mid lane, flashing away there to survive. Doesn't even lose the Guardian Angel. Cloud9 backing up as EG looks for any sort of a chance to maybe find something else here. Although they broke both of the tier 3 turrets in the base, the inhibitors are all still standing. EG now with 5v4 on the map, Fudge dead for an additional 25 seconds. EG feels comfortable and confident moving in to get rid of the inhibs themselves. This is going to make the situation so bad for Cloud9. They are firmly trapped in the base at this point. Blabber tries to survive here with a steadfast presence. Inspired's going in, and Jojo's right behind him. Darshan tries to stay alive, but he is not tanky enough. The curtain call doesn't matter. The show was over 20 minutes ago. EG is ready to rock in this best of 5, and they're sending Cloud9 running back into the fountain. The Nexus is not long for this world, and EG made game 1 look easy.
What a game from Evil Geniuses, absolutely stomping Cloud9, coming out with the Yasuo Diana, the best performance we've seen from that combo in the LCS this year, easily. They got the early kill. Fudge looked like he was getting kind of run over in that mid lane, and it really did feel like Cloud9 was plagued by some miscommunications, some indecision around how they wanted to play in some of these certain states. You know, you just look back to that first kill, and I would love to see the analyst desk talk about this a little bit, because it just felt like there was so much hesitation in what Volibear's trying to do. Are you trying to gank? Are you trying to push out the wave? Are you trying to get vision? Are you trying to actually take the Raptor pit? And it didn't seem like they could decide at all. And EG had no hesitation at any point in this game. They knew exactly what they wanted to do.
I felt like this was a gut punch. Like, to started out, they got the wind knocked out of them because C9 were behind the entire game. The vision control was insane from EG. And you're looking at that like, what should we do different from next game? And it's like, literally everything.
Yeah, if you're talking about a gut punch, Cloud9 has internal bleeding after that one. Like, that was nasty. Inspired hit so many 3-man ulti setups for Jojo to follow. The whole team was playing beautifully. And I love the fact that Vulcan threw up the Cloud9 emote BM. Y'all could have had me on your team. Sorry. That's the attitude I like to see. EG dominate that first win. And as they get ready for their next game in our series, we're going to head over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. EG looked damn good in game number 1 of the series, taking a quick W. The casters themselves seem very, very starkly in the camp of EG did most everything right, and Cloud9 did a whole heck of a lot wrong. And I think we can maybe start in Champion Select, because at least from the EG perspective and from where I sit, this to me feels like the most quintessentially Evil Geniuses comp you could possibly secure in a game 1 of a series, Jack.
It was very aggressive. We talked about in the pre-show how much their forward percentages are very high, like first or second in every position. And then typically, actually, if you're going to give over Twisted Fate on red side, that's really dangerous, because one thing Twisted Fate wants is volatile lanes.
Yeah.
And you can usually create volatile lanes with counter picks, whether that's a top lane counter pick or through bot lane counter picks. But what ended up happening here is the C9 lanes were not good lanes to play through. Like, TF Malphite is just not a combination you see very often, unless you can also create a very volatile bottom lane. And they didn't do that. EG just pushed every lane, and it looked easy for them.
Yeah, I mean, you could even look at the jungle pick where on, they're on 3. They see the Diana Yasuo. You could even try and match that a little bit more, because if you don't have a side lane that you can play through, you can still play through jungle at least, right? Play for camps and be a lot more aggressive that you can play for red buff. But you're right, they didn't have a lane they could play through. The damage was minimum, so as the game goes on, Jinx is just going to be able to fire off on both front lines.
Yeah, and another big thing that happened, if you do pick a TF, like putting aside all the damage stuff we've said, because Jojo played this lane so volatilely, they were able to set up this first blood here, but then after this, he basically had to push in that lane the entire time. So not only does TF not have side lanes that he can go to because they're both getting shoved in, but then he's also getting shoved in, so he can't pick those really good timings to go to side lanes and make the plays that needs to get this comp ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, what you just saw in the last replay was miscommunication and misplay in C9's camp. This one was huge for Evil Geniuses. Jojopyun coming in on Diana's ulti. It was basically Cloud9 thinking they got good push bot side so they can look for a dragon take.
Right.
But just a stronger early game comp from Evil Geniuses they capitalize on.
One of the few times that Cloud9 had the quote-unquote priority in terms of being in the river first and being contested by EG. Probably the last time in this game that they would have any semblance of priority, because from there, that was 11 minutes into the game. You fast forward to 14 minutes just to re-up on our forward percentage statistics, as well as the gold lead that the team was sporting. I mean, absolutely nutty numbers, amounted to a 4.2K gold lead at 14 minutes. That is one of the largest we've had so far this split. The only team that really beats EG is EG themselves, with a larger gold lead in previous games. But either way, just absolutely massive numbers. And from that point forward, I think what was impressive was the way that they secured victory. To play it from there, even while some kills would go back the way of Cloud9, the vision game, Emily, was massive.
I mean, this is what I was talking about, right, with EG setting up plays. So even when they did push too far forward. They go for a kill. They had that attempted dive bot side that didn't work out that C9 were able to respond to. Well, guess what? Impact is shoving in the top wave into tier 2. And the only thing they end up losing off of that play is the fact that Impact then comes around and gets cut out at Raptors, where they've then been able to reset the bot half of the map in that time.
Right.
So like the fact that even when C9 were able to get something, they're still going against, they're trying to push up against EG's tempo, and EG still has complete control over the game.
I was gonna say, it's pretty telling when you pick up like 3 kills across the map, but the other team still manages to keep the gold lead that they had prior by virtue of sacking minions into turrets or taking turrets themselves. And so while this was incredibly dominant out of EG, I kind of want to quickly refocus towards game number 2, because I am more curious to talk about what C9 should have learned from this, Jad.
It's going to be tricky. Like, I don't want to blame the game on draft, because I think EG was expected to win here.
Yes.
But even more specific target banning, like letting Impact just get Renekton like that, like, especially last year, even last lock-in tournament, he was just 100% on Renekton. And as soon as you banned the Renekton away, the team did become a lot weaker. So either take it on 4 so you can have Renekton TF and have a lane to play through that you can combo with, or just stop it. And that's a very very small point, right? Because the draft is going to completely change when they switch sides. But I want to see C9 have a place on the map where they can play through. Like, that's step 1.
And in a best of 5, it's usually pretty difficult to get through all the problems that just happened. You usually just have to, essentially what you're doing right now, which is look to the next game, kind of technically wipe out most of it from your memory and just play better, because you're right. A lot of it is draft, where you can be like, Gnar would be better, maybe Akshan, like we mentioned. Like, volatility when you have a Twisted Fate is really good. But this game was not decided by the draft. It was decided by exactly the play that happened through mid, essentially the fight that happened through Drake. So just being on the same page and looking through those moments would be important, just so you don't make those same mistakes in the next one.
Yeah. On a different note, this is the 10th year of the LCS, and there was a cool thing that we pointed out. Impact and Darshan, the first time they played was almost 7 years ago. Like, it was just like 3 days later than 7 years ago. So here's Impact Darshan in 2020. We have a screen grab of the Spring 15 match when Team Impulse Impact.
Exactly.
7 years ago today.
Oh, wow. The baby faces.
Today is the rematch.
And what's funny is at that point, these guys were both still considered veterans.
Kinda,
It's like a team, because Impact had already won a world championship, came across region. Darshan, had once been known as Zion Spartan. Like, these guys were already well-versed players when this meeting happened.
I think he was Zion Spartan at the time.
Maybe he still was here on CLG,
And here's obviously today with the C9 player cams working up. We do have one other picture as well from that day in 2015. The analyst desk.
I'm worried about this.
No! Dash! Hasn't got a haircut since. It grows remarkably slowly.
That's an alien over there. I mean, who let me wear those glasses, by the way? Who let me make that stylistic choice? That just didn't do my face any favors.
That's a solid 30 years right there.
And that was
a baby. You look like a child.
Well before I had, just randomly started growing facial hair. It was weird how that happened in my... Get it off my screen. Well, I tell you what, the quicker I say this, the quicker we go to commercial, and I don't have to look at that anymore. We'll see if Evil Geniuses can stay undefeated in game number 2 coming up right after this.
Baby Dash.
Where you have that Texan accent.
Yeah, exactly. That was before I was managed to get rid of that Southern Texan accent.